Yes.
Bogdanov, he did it.
Il bought.
He went all in.
Dump it. Oh! Oh!
You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. When it comes out, zero.
Just huddle, bro.
Welcome to the TGH Podcast. Today we've got the pleasure of inviting Ash from New Kids on the Blockchain. Ash has been involved in the movie and documentary industry for over 20 years, and it's a great pleasure for us to have him on the podcast today to find out more information. Hello, Ash. How are you today?
Hey, Ash.
How's it doing, guys? Good to see you. I feel like the boot's on the other foot here. I'm normally like interviewing you guys, and now here you are interviewing me. It's fantastic.
You are, aren't you? I actually miss coming on your show. I've not been on for a long time, have I? I think it's been a few months, but I was a regular guest over on New Kids on the Blockchain, wasn't I? A few months ago.
Yeah, then it got too busy, and then all of us couldn't find time to do anything riding that bull.
It's amazing how busy we've all been during this market. How crazy has this market been over the last 12 months, isn't it? We've been up only.
Yeah, pretty much since the Corona dump, it was up only for 12, 13, 14 months.
I can't actually believe
it's gone like that. It's gone like that, literally.
Hasn't
it's literally gone like that,
hasn't it? But I've done some whining to Ash over the last probably 6 months. It's too busy. I need a break. I
used to be whining to you guys. I'd be on to Shaman going, "Oh God, the market's fucked. We've had 2 years of bear market." And Shaman was going, "You need to be more positive. People don't want to hear you talking about how fucked the market is the whole time." And he was so right. Being
positive.
So, yeah, we went.
Go on. Sorry.
Positive.
Yeah, staying positive.
I was going to say it was a weird. You know, it was a tough time, that last bear market, but I guess we'll probably chronologically get into that. But it was, rough bear.
Well, yeah, I wanted to get into that, if I'm honest with you, Ash, because you started crypto at a similar time to us. I think that was late 2017, and well, I mean,
the bear market. Back home.
Yeah, it was a hard time. It was a really hard time back then, wasn't it? Because we sort of experienced this crazy FOMO, and it's sort of been similar to how the market's been recently. But there was far less altcoins back then, so it was everything pumped ridiculously because there was less people. There was more people buying less projects. But if we start from the start today, so as we said before, you were in the movie and documentary industry, and now you run New Kids on the Blockchain with your girlfriend, which we're a big fan of your show. But I don't mean your girlfriend, by the way. I bet you thought I was a big fan of your girlfriend then. Big fan of your show.
Why?
Massive fan of New Kids on the Blockchain. You guys create some of the highest quality video content, obviously, because you've got so much experience. But we want to get a little bit of an insight because we're trying to focus this podcast onto people's stories and how they got into crypto, what their experience sort of was before crypto, and their journey. So I've spoke to you before many a times on some of the stories and things like that. So I've got an idea, but I'd love to give our audience, more of an idea of who you are and where you came from. What was it like being in the movie and documentary industry? Did you travel around the world? What were you involved in?
Did you also film movies of that kind? In case some of the viewers might know.
The casting couch. I love it.
I didn't know what it was.
It was one of my ambitions. I never actually have done one of those movies, but it was at one point I thought I've got to
maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to do one.
But no, I mean, it's been, my journey's been an interesting one. I was that sort of classic nerdy kid that got given a Super 8 camera when I was about 7 or 8. And I was like out, filming like my Millennium Falcon. And I remember at one point I was there filming it and I'd stuck all these bits of toilet paper in the back. And my dad went, "Oh, are you going to paint them red so it looks like flames?" And as he went out the door, it was because I was going to set fire to it. So this Millennium Falcon was on a bit of fishing wire with these flaming things. It hit the wall, the side of the wall caught fire, and I nearly burnt the house down. So that was my kind of that was my initial sort of foray into filming, my sort of my Super 8 Star Wars figures. But I'd always wanted to get into it, and from an early age I started working on film sets, and then I got really big into the music scene, and I ended up running one of the biggest music video companies in London, a company called Alchemy, for 10 years, and we produced hundreds of music videos, some really terrible ones, I've got to be honest. It was pop music. So one end of the scale was, I'm responsible for steps 5, 6, 7, 8. I will tell you that. That's one of my sort of terrible sort of sins. And, lots of bands like Atomic Kitten and boy bands like Blue and all that sort of stuff. But I also worked with some people like Sting, Paul McCartney, all sorts of big celebs. Tom Jones, he was brilliant.
I love Blue. And, I love Blue, by the way. I did. All Rise. It's a good fucking song.
Yeah.
That's how
we did about 3 videos.
Did you?
He wants to be in a boy band. Shaman wants to be in a boy band. That's what it is.
I didn't even know that, Ash. I didn't even know that you were in charge of all these superstars. I knew a lot, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you've surprised me there. I'm really glad that you have surprised, because I was like, I'm probably going to hear all the things I've already heard. But now I'm like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
So it was a weird old world of doing, it was, in the kind of late 90s, music videos were booming. There was tons of money. We're flying, literally, I used to have 3 teams, and we used to fly from one country to the next. It'd be like Brazil, finish a video, fly to Miami, and it sounds like a lot of fun, and it was, but it was exhausting, and I got kind of pretty burnt out from it. So, after a while, I started getting into more longer form content. I always loved documentaries. I love telling stories. So I used to do lots of kind of 1-hour TV documentaries on music stars, all that kind of stuff. And then over time, got into doing feature film documentaries. I've done a few drama sort of films as well. And then, in 2017, it was actually early 2017, we got into crypto.
Oh, was it?
We got invited.
It was probably
February. And we ended up going to a couple of conferences. And I remember us going to the Dash conference, which was probably early summer 2017. And I said to Lisa, we've got to start filming this. We just finished a documentary on the movie Flash Gordon, because we're doing these documentaries about 80s movies.
I've seen that. You've got a channel, haven't you? You've got a channel, a documentary channel on 80s movies. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone who's interested in that. Quite interesting, by the way.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, we're doing a whole series of documentaries about 80s movies, not just making ofs, but following the stars, meeting them all, seeing about the music, the culture. And so we just finished this documentary. We're at the Dash Festival conference, and I'm just saying to Lisa, this is fucking crazy. We need to start filming this. This is just crazy. So thankfully, we had 2 cameras in the car. We run off, we get them, and we said to the organizers, hey, can we start filming this? And because we were quite early in filming that whole ICO world, people were quite accommodating. They're like, yeah, of course you can film. So we got quite deep in there fairly early on. I think the next one we went to, we met Roger Ver and interviewed him.
Oh, yeah.
And we met,
trying to get him on the podcast, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah, we're trying.
We're trying to get him on. Yeah.
He's playing hard to get.
Is he playing hard to get? Yeah.
He's not replying anymore.
It's like interviewing a robot. Like interviewing a robot. He's obviously a very intelligent guy, but you talk to him and he's talking about Bitcoin Cash and he wants to tell you how it's going to be fantastic. And it's kind of a bit like that. But so, we met him, and then over the course of 2017, 2018 and 2019, we filmed so many people, some of the villains, of the space we filmed as well, like, old Craig, and we filmed.
Craig Wright?
Yeah, we did 3 hours filming Craig Wright. Actually, a sit-down interview with him.
What impression did you have on Craig Wright back then when you spoke to him?
To be honest, he
believes
really
this
lovely.
Shit,
he was really lovely with us both. He was like really nice, and he was. But I play a lot of poker, and when he was telling me some stuff, he was looking left. Okay, and if somebody looks at you and says something and quickly looks left, it's one of the biggest FBI poker tells that somebody's lying. So when I was asking certain questions, I was noticing his eyes flicking over to the left. And I was like, right, if I was playing poker with you now, I'd be shoving all in at this point, literally all in. But I've got to be...
Sorry, I told Panda
that's all right.
You were a really good poker player. And I was telling him about like how you've made some amazing trades. And a lot of it was because of your experience in poker. And once again, your poker game is coming to your aid. It's really interesting. Carry on, Ash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've made some bloody terrible trades as well, to be honest. I think we all have somewhere down the line. But so basically we got involved in this space. We started filming everywhere. People were inviting us to conferences all over the world. We started making a little bit of money because we got some crypto invested as well. And we just thought, you know what, we're just going to really enjoy this. We're going to just start booking flights everywhere. They weren't paying us to go to things, but they were, giving us decent tickets and all the rest of it. So we were traveling a lot anyway. So we're like, well, we're in America. We'll go to San Francisco to Token Fest. And we'll go and meet Jay Snip 4 because I'd like to talk to a big influencer who's crazy and see what he's got to say. We'll go and meet Cliff High. We met Cliff High to talk about Webbot and all of his kind of deep conspiracy theory stuff, and met just some incredible characters. And then somebody said, you need to start putting this content out on a YouTube channel because it takes 3 years to make a feature documentary, and in crypto that's like 30 years. So we started throwing out some content.
It is, isn't it? One day is like a fucking week in crypto, or a month sometimes.
Yeah, it's like dog years, I say, like seven years for every year. But the YouTube channel popped up because we had some quite big names we were interviewing. We got some big hits pretty quickly. And then somebody said, why don't the pair of you do a show? And we thought, we'll do one for fun. And now this week's show is show 178, and never intended to do it. But and then we obviously went into the bear market, like we were talking about before, 2018. And we were just making the show every week, and nobody cared. Nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to watch it. We were just doing it every week.
That wasn't anything to do with, I won't say that personal. I think that was happening across the board.
That also speaks for you, the consistency, even through bear markets, through hard times. Because I think if the market should go quiet again, and maybe we see some bear period, I think most of the YouTubers and the influencers, they're going to be gone, at least until we have some bull market again, and that really speaks for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. I came close to quitting many times, but I think the pivotal point for us was basically Crypto.com said, hey, we'll give you a little bit of sponsorship money. I mean, it was tiny amount. But it meant that I had to do the show because they were a sponsor. And then we kept going through it. And Lisa was great. She said, look, if we keep doing this bear market will turn around. And when it does, people will have seen all the content we've been working on and doing. So she was instrumental in that. And she was just kind of like, just keep the faith. And then obviously when things picked up again this time, it was fantastic. It's been a lot sort of easier to do. But
wasn't it? I don't think people realise, especially the newer investors and traders who are coming into the space now. You just, unless you've been through it, you will never realise what it's like. And I see people who kind of bought Bitcoin as a side thing and didn't really come back, and they were like, "Well, I made it." Unless you were engaged in the space on a daily basis and saw the misery that bear market brought on a daily basis. You had to be an absolute soldier to make it. And as I say, the Gem Hunters started in early 2018, and it was originally a refuge for people who were just losing their minds. And everyone encouraged each other. And I mean, were you involved in
like a support group? It was like my name's Ash and I'm a crypto addict and I've been in the bear market. Come and join the Gem Hunters support group and we'll have a big group hug.
It was like that, and everyone was getting every single day though. Everyone was getting each other through the day. Like sometimes everyone had day jobs. Everyone was going to a day job miserable, and there's a lot of bad things that happened as well. A lot of people didn't make it through the bear market. There's a lot of bad times, and it's quite depressing to talk about, so we won't cover it for too long. We've not made this to depress people.
People are thinking we are back in it, and that's why we are covering this.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody wants to admit that, right? Though at the moment, I mean, I know we're trying to stay positive all the time, but I think things. Yeah,
but the thing is, the chart looks fucking terrible. I don't have the chart open right now, but the chart looks like shit. But on the other hand, the fundamental stuff is just improving. Like, El Salvador adopting Bitcoin is a very positive sign. It's not going to pump the price immediately because El Salvador let's be honest, nobody cares about the country.
We did get
economically they are nothing, but it's going to have a certain effect on other countries. If that's their currency, that's not my thoughts. I got it from another video from a very intelligent crypto guy who said, if that's their currency and you want to trade with them, you have to accept their currency. So you have to basically accept Bitcoin. You have to turn around your own banking system and everything in order to make deals, in order to make trade deals with El Salvador. So other countries will have to adopt. Then maybe they see the benefits in it. You can basically move as much as you want cross-border without any middleman and without much costs. And maybe it will have a ripple effect and other countries will see those benefits and it will just grow and grow. Because I don't think El Salvador is going to be the first and last country. I think we are going to see much more of these.
Still so early. But it did pump a fuck you candle today, Bitcoin. I mean, it's just gone from...
I honestly didn't even look at Bitcoin.
It's gone from 32k to 30 to 37 today, which and the candle it printed was a nice candle, and that was from, I think, that El Salvador news.
Yeah, so probably.
I still think this market is moving on fundamentals personally, but someone was saying the other day about how there was a lot of good news in 2018, a lot of fundamental, really good bullish news, and it had no effect whatsoever. But we're looking at the market now, and every time we get some good news, generally the market is sort of picking up. But it has been miserable the last few weeks, hasn't it?
But it's dumping. It's always dumping harder than it's pumping. That's what I've seen the past few weeks. But on the other hand, I think we still have a lot of dump money to get rid of.
Yeah.
I still see, if I open DEX tools right now, I will probably have at least 7 out of the 10 trending tokens are complete bullshit meme tokens.
Yeah, I think alts have been hit so hard. I mean, how many of your alts are just... I mean, so many of my alts are down 80%, but it was almost overnight. That's crazy. That's worse than 2017, 18. But yeah, the chart is miserable. But 30k on the positive side, again, going back to the whole positive mindset, 30k is holding, and until that breaks, we ain't going down. So
if that goes though, it's going to be pretty rough. I think. Yeah. If 30 goes, I think it's going to be pretty rough.
20k area, but
25,
honestly,
20K.
If it dumps from 30 to 20, I wouldn't even care much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there are other ways to make money even in the bear market. We can maybe cover that in another episode.
Yeah, good.
Maybe like make an educational one.
Good point. Yeah, farming.
Yeah.
Farming.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about this time round for me is that we've got DeFi this time, right?
Exactly.
So there's a lot more opportunities to earn, and people are sick of earning nothing from having money in the bank, right? So, you know, you've seen these incredible, obviously there was tons of scams. Some of the APYs were just absolutely insane, but it was a really incredible and continues to be incredible. I do have a fear that a lot of staking things can sometimes be just a way to lock up your money and to keep the Ponzi scheme alive with certain projects. But I do, you know.
So far, Panda's been smashing the farming, haven't you? And
don't jinx it.
Well, you're called Farmer Panda now, and you changed your name to Farmer Panda.
I changed my name, because the thing is, I see it as a game. In games, it's called like meta. You have current metas when some, for example, let's say World of Warcraft, because I'm playing that right now. In certain patches, certain classes are better than others, and you always have to adjust to the meta. So I see it in crypto. It's kind of the same, and we have many gamers in crypto which are very successful because it's kind of the same. The market is shifting very quickly, and you have to adjust to the market to make the best out of it. If you're always, let's say,
stay to one strategy,
either you stay always with the same strategy, which doesn't work because the market is constantly changing. I think no market in the world is changing as fast as crypto. It's
definitely.
So
fully agree. Yeah.
If you either stick to the same strategy, you will lose, or if you are always too late to the party because you're anxious or because you think it's too much work to get into this. Sometimes it's really not, or you have communities. For example, our community, I don't want to make like a shill stream out of this for our community, but there are many communities where you can get into and people are looking to help other people, how to get started, what's the best approach. So you can always be early to stuff. You don't have to learn yourself too much or dig into it. You can just ask people and they will help you. And just get started. You don't have to put all your money in. I'm not putting all my money into some random degenerate farms.
Yeah.
But even if you put small amounts, you can always make crazy returns.
Fully agree. And going back to the whole gamer,
diversify.
The gamer psychology as well. I don't know any gamer who's competitive gamer on a level of Warcraft, for example. I mean, the shit you have to go through in Warcraft, doing daily quests every fucking day, gearing up. It's hard work.
I'm fucking leveling in Classic right now.
Just leveling.
It's worse than crypto. It's honestly worse than crypto.
It's so much harder than crypto.
I have pure playtime of, I think it's 10 days now. Pure playtime 10 days. So it's
There's some interesting projects that are coming together as well to bring like gamification and DeFi together. There was one that we were talking about called DeFi City that's coming out soon. That seems to be a gamification of farming. It sounds to me like it's almost like Sim City meets farming, where you have like they've kind of somehow visualized it, so it's not as LP tokens. They've put like a visual front end on it. And I think if you can make it more appealing to people from a gamification perspective, that's really interesting.
I like that. And a lot of
even if it has something like what you said, like make it more gamified, but even something like I'm not sure what they're called in fucking English. I think slot machines.
Yeah.
Slot machines have certain sound effects and like visual effects. Even that could be super appealing. For example, if you harvest whatever you farmed over the night and then it comes with a cool sound effect or whatever, stuff like that could really be successful.
Yeah, we had Lisa got really down into SimCity for a while, and there used to be this noise that would make when your buildings would get built, and there's a lot of science goes into this stuff where they have psychologists working out the noises that trigger dopamine, and every time there was a little ding, it was a house was built, and you get like a little dopamine rush, and it's clever stuff. There's some dark forces at work in the background.
Yeah, there is. But on the other side of that as well, being sort of sucked into that kind of dopamine rush and instant gratification way of psychology and way of life is also bad in some respects, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people coming into crypto who are just sort of hooked and they want it now. And that's what, as you said then, a lot of the games now are completely different to what they are when I was a kid.
Yeah.
For example, I'd rather play the games that I played when I was a kid, or Warcraft, because they were I prefer the games to be harder and more challenging, whereas now they're making everything easier, quicker, instant gratification, and it's just and people eating it up. Have you seen now as well? People are watching other people play games, and there's even videos now of people watching other people, seeing what their reaction was watching someone else. It's like, fuck me. When I was a kid, we actually played the game. We wrote our own stories, and we still are writing our own stories, aren't we? And that's the only way. That's the way forward. The world has gone mad. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. So,
but on saying that, I did very much get into reaction videos of people watching Two Girls and One Cup a few years ago. That was one of my favorite YouTube experiences.
That was harsh. That was crazy.
But the reactions were quite amusing. But I think back to your point before, I've been speaking to friends of mine who are new in crypto that are like freaking out that something only 3x'd. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, speak to my financial advisor. If he can get 2% a year return, he's spraying his shorts. And you're complaining that you've only 3x'd after a month of being involved in a project.
It's unbelievable.
People lose track of.
We were saying this last week, weren't we, Panda? How greedy people are now. I mean, you wouldn't get even what is it this now in the UK? 0.5% a year max.
Probably less. In Germany, you don't even get 0.1%. You literally, if you deposit, let's say 1K, and you want to get €1 out of your bank, you have to deposit it for hundreds of years because it's absolutely nothing. You get like 1 penny per year. And I was talking to people regarding APIs and stuff, and that I'm happy if I can deposit a bigger amount, relatively safe in some lending protocol, and I get 20 or 25%, and I'm happy with that because That's more than you would get anywhere.
What were the two platforms? Sorry, Panda. Was it Certic and BlockFi? For people's information who are watching this now, the two safest.
Certic is an auditor.
Oh,
it's BlockFi and it's Celsius. Celsius and BlockFi.
Celsius, sorry, and BlockFi.
They
seem to be the
relatively
safest.
safe, and they're also insured.
Yeah,
they are regulated, they're insured, but you have to do KYC. I think
you do. Yeah, you do.
It's definitely on BlockFi.
Both,
I'm not sure if it's also on Celsius.
Yeah, they are. They are both. I know someone who's
that's for me personally. I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to do DeFi and then completely KYC for it.
Like decentralized finance.
You have enough other opportunities for it without KYC.
But you also don't want to wake up to check your portfolio and find the whole fucking lot's been rug pulled overnight. Because that's the other side of the scale, isn't it? You've got like the full-on degen side offering 20,000% APY, and then you've got the KYC ones. Like we do a lot of work with Yield, and they offer like 20% a year, which is 20%, incredible.
Still amazing.
But you know, if you hold some of their tokens and you have stablecoin, and now and people I speak to are like, oh, 20%,
20%, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, if they're legit, you might want to put it into fart swap cake or something and get 20,000% for 5 minutes until they rug pull it. But if you want to get sensible, you've got to look at, like, I know people who are borrowing from Celsius and then putting it into another platform. They're doing some really clever shit, but it's too clever for me.
Yeah.
But they're like maximizing borrowing in Celsius, then taking all that money into another platform, getting yield on it, doing something else with it. And I haven't got the time for that, unfortunately.
I know it is super
also
time consuming.
Quite risky. I've played something similar and it didn't turn out as expected, because sometimes you also have on the websites you have the APIs or the costs for the borrowing. It's adjusting every hour or some shit, and the costs are kind of flipping, and all of a sudden you're not getting money, you're fucking paying more than you're getting on the other farm, and it's just too fucking stressful, because you would permanently have to check all numbers, compound everything, sell it into your whatever you borrowed to pay it slowly off, and it's just too fucking stressful.
This is exactly as well.
You have a lot of. It would be something for another episode. You have so much opportunities right now. Like even on QuickSwap on Polygon, which is considerably safe, I would say. It is basically the Uniswap of Polygon, and even there, if you look at the numbers, I hope I'm logged in, but you have some crazy numbers right there. When you go into QuickSwap and you just basically deposit your LP tokens like you did in Uniswap or somewhere else, then you can deposit that on the rewards page, and you get, for example, here, Ethereum USDC pair. If you're holding Ethereum, if you have some stable coins, you can just deposit it here. Right now, the API is 146%.
There's someone there there's someone there at 2,000+% now, aren't there, Panda? There's someone there at 2,000+%.
On Iron right now is completely insane. I'm not sure how long it's going to go.
Is it safe though? Like what are your thoughts on that? Like do you think they are gonna
they're not going to rug pull, but the issue is
hacks and flash loan attacks, etc.
That's all. Flash loans isn't a possibility right now because they're not attached to any loan protocol, but hex exploits always something.
And I feel like the teams are performing hacks or inside jobs and then saying, "Oh, we've been hacked." It's like the old. It's happened so many times over the years, isn't it? It's like, okay, whatever.
It's like Iron is blowing up. It's fucking crazy right now. I'm getting 3.5k API on stable coins. 3.5k. It's completely insane.
And when people hear this and see these gains, it does make them greedy. I think sometimes it's good to stay grounded, isn't it? And as you said before, adjust the needle between what's safe and what's risky, and try and find somewhere in between.
On the little educational voice chat we had yesterday in Gem Hunters, I try to tell people, you have to adjust your farms, like what you put in, according to the risk. You can't just see complete degenerate farm with crazy API and go all in, because you're going to make so much money. If you get rucked, it's all gone. And
that reminds me of basically traditional stuff. There was a Anthony Robbins, the sort of the financial guru bloke. I read a book of his years ago, and it was about traditional investing. And he was like, you have your buckets: the high risk bucket, the medium risk bucket, the really safe bucket, and people who throw everything into the degen turbo nutter bastard bucket could get completely wrecked.
But they will in the end. But here's my point. They will in the end, because once you're a degen and once you go down that road, you're staying down that road. You're staying down that road. So
as long as it works, I had a few of these guys. I was talking to them, and because I'm always, when I'm trading, I'm taking a very conservative approach, and they were like, yeah, but it's working out. I'm investing in all these doc tokens. I'm going all in from doc token to doc token, and I'm making so much money. You're just jealous.
When the market turns,
a single one of them rug pulls, or for some reason people just completely crash it, and all his gains, what he made over 10 successful like meme token trades, it's all gone in one trade.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At some point anyway, you have to have like money management,
you have to
risk management.
Diversify your portfolio, safe assets, and if you want to gamble, then maybe use 5%, because that's going to then feed the beast inside of you, and it's worth losing that 5% just so you can keep the other 95%.
Or even lower, even if it's just 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not too crazy if you lose it, but if it blows up, you're probably going to make half your portfolio on this one.
I think it's going to be harder for people who don't gamble and still want to, because in the end they end up using loads more than what they actually initially. Whereas if you just use the 1% or the 5% and you still lose it, oh well, at least you've been through that process. It's like some people have to lose their money. And by the way, Ash, before we wrap up today, what's your predictions on Bitcoin end of the year?
Oh man, I mean, I'd like to think it's got to complete this cycle and go up before it comes down.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
That's my thing. I'd love to see it complete the 100K cycle and ETH complete 10K. I think a lot of the shit coins are done, to be honest. But I'd like to see those. I think Matic, Polygon's going to be huge. I think Cardano's going to be huge. I think there's still lots of good projects, but like you guys, we're getting 100 projects a day. Also, very quickly, a big shout out to you guys, because back in like 2019, some of the calls you guys were making were just incredible on projects, and we filtered that through to our audience. And I've always put my hand up and said gem hunters, because they were just one after another that you guys were bringing that were absolutely amazing.
Really appreciate
it. Hats off to you.
I think 2020 has been the best year we've had. We've been around. Gem Hunters is now over 3 years old, and I think 2020 has been by far the best year we've had. But the market was also amazing in 2020, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with you as well, Ash. We had a great year last year, had some good times, and hopefully we do bounce here, either here or 25K or 20K, wherever it is. Hopefully we bounce. Yeah, when? It's a question of when. And we are definitely going to see 100K, whether it's end of this year, whether it's next year. I think people need to be patient and learn patience, and crypto does teach patience in the end. So thank you so much, Ash, for coming on today. It's been a massive pleasure. I'm sure we'll have you over again at some stage.
Really lovely to see you guys, and I'm a huge TGH fan, so we'll speak soon.
Thanks a lot. We'll leave links to New Kids on the Blockchain in the description of this video as well. Catch you soon, Ash.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.